What's going on, everybody? Jerry here. In today's video, what are we doing and what are we talking about? So it's an update video today, and it's just me sharing some ideas with you, some things that I've wanted to try, and some projects that I have on the go and are on the agenda, and I do plan on tackling them as I move forward with the channel. So today I just figured I would share some of those project ideas with you. So let's check it out. Now, another project that I've been thinking of tackling, finally, this has been on the back burner for so long. I borrowed a piece of equipment from my buddy Andrew a while back, and he has owned this thing as part of his Nintendo 64. It's the Ultra 64 development board that Andrew has, and he owns this extremely hard to find adapter. This is the Ultra 64 Joybus Board. What this adapter does is it allows you to plug in directly to the Ultra 64 development board, and it provides you with standard interfaces for joysticks. And so then it just allows you to go and test your code that you're working on. And this is on the Ultra 64 development board within the SGI Indie computer workstations. So this is it's a pretty hard to find adapter board, very hard to find. So a lot of the times you might find the Ultra 64 development board on its own, but you're missing this board. And that's actually the case for me. I have one of the development boards, but I do not have this unique adapter board. So my idea was to borrow this from my buddy Andrew and try to just sort of reverse engineer it, do the pinouts and whatnot, so that I could, essentially build my own. And I would just build like an adapter board. And I bought a series of these they're like extension cables. The idea, is to just essentially use these just as a means of getting that female connector for us to interface our standard N64 joysticks to, run those cables to a small project board where I would essentially replicate all of the logic that's implemented here on the Joybus board. So that's actually a requirement because I think they're inverted. These are essentially logic inverters to bring them into the proper logic state, so that the Ultra 64 development board can read those signals properly. Anyway, so that's sort of what I've been planning to do. So now I had borrowed this from my buddy Andrew I've had it for eons, and it's one of the things that I've been meaning to tackle, but Andrew's been pretty awesome about letting me hang on to it until I can finally tackle that. So I gotta get to this, and I'm excited to do it. It's gonna be a cool thing to try. Okay, what other projects do I have that I want to talk about? So yeah, this is cool. This is a proprietary development cartridge that was created specifically for Rare during that time, during the 90s, right when the N64 was right in the heart of its time. And you had all the gang putting together 007, so you have Martin Hollis, David Doak, Dr. Doak. You have all the guys working on that project, putting together just amazing games. And Mr. Mark Green, he worked there as an electronics design engineer. He built these cards pretty much by hand. He had made several of them for the developers at Rare. And I actually had the opportunity to interview Mark. So for those of you that are interested in checking out that interview, I'll include the link in the description. It's a pretty amazing interview, and that was a lot of fun doing that. Actually, I think I will put on my strap here. Okay. So here it is here. Just be very delicate here. Okay. So this is it's entitled the Rare N64 Dev V3. Now, what's really cool about this cartridge is that after I had my discussions with Mark, he let me know that we could potentially dump the memory controller firmware that works with the SCSI interface and the SRAM memory for this cartridge. And by decompiling that and reverse engineering it, we could essentially create a small program that would mimic the loading of memory, performing all those DMA functions of memory and allowing us to essentially write some ROM information into the memory of this device, and we could essentially try to load a game onto it. So that could be something fun and cool to try. So I talked with Mark a little bit and figured out some of the interface and the protocols that are used with this. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm building a small little serial interface that will download the firmware from this device. And then from there, we can look into decompiling it and then seeing if we can find any of the commands that are used for doing specific DMA functions and transferring memory to and from the SCSI interface down into the SRAM memory. So that could be something really cool and exciting to try. And I've been meaning to dive into that, and I've bought the parts that I need to do that and build that interface. But again, it's just one of the projects that I've had on the back burner, but figured I would mention it and let you guys know about it. It's something that I do plan on doing. So it's kind of cool, a lot of fun. Okay, so now one of the other cool items that I have on the agenda, it's another project that I've got on the go that I've been meaning to do. And again, it's just time. There's never enough time. So this little adapter, this belongs to another buddy of mine. I've had this for a while, and I'm returning this to him not very soon. But I figured that I would bust it out one last time before I was going to return this adapter. This is yet another proprietary security adapter that was developed by Rare Ltd for their development flash cartridges that they would be, transporting to, whether it was an E3 demo cartridge or that. They would use this little adapter, so the ROM that was being flashed with the flash gang writer, the NU64 flash gang writer, was programming a flash cartridge. That ROM that was being flashed into the flash memory was actually slightly modified by a small little program as part of the compilation of the ROM. It would make a slight change either to the header, it's unclear exactly where it is, but something was changed very slightly that would just prevent the ROM from loading on an N64 console. And so in order for that change to be rectified, which would allow proper loading of the game, this adapter was needed. And it's a small little circuit board in there with an Altera, it's an Altera Max 7000 CPLD. And what it does is it rectifies the changes that had been implemented during the compilation of the ROM. And so it either changes the loading address, that's sort of what I'm thinking, the default address that's being loaded into memory, it actually modifies it. And so this rectifies that to make sure that when the game is loading, it's looking at the correct address to start that ROM. That's sort of what I'm thinking that it is. And Mark actually briefly talked about this in the interview that I had with him. He talked about these. So it was really, really interesting. So now I borrowed this from a buddy of mine, and the plan was to dump the CPLD. And now I had attempted to do this, non-invasive methods, and I didn't really get too far with it. It didn't really work too well. So I thought I'm going to give it one more shot before I send this back to him. So I'm going to be working on that actually this weekend. So it's kind of exciting. I'm hoping that I've sort of cleared things up on how I'm about to go about it. The main goal is to essentially replicate the schematic for the circuit board that this Altera CPLD is a part of, map that out into something that we could replicate on a perf board or just a basic project board, and then dump the firmware from the CPLD and then try to re-implement that by flashing that onto an exact CPLD of that model and try to replicate it essentially overall, and be able to load certain games that required this specific little adapter. And that will be attempt number 2, final attempt. And hopefully it'll be successful. So it'll be pretty cool. And I'll definitely keep everyone updated on that if I make any progress. So it's kind of cool, loads of fun. So that wraps up today's video, guys. Thanks again for watching. And a huge shout out to all my followers and my supporters. You guys are amazing, and I am so grateful that you guys are checking out my channel and are liking the content that I'm putting forward. All your support is really appreciated, and it's helping me out a lot. So I am hoping to step it up and post more content for all of you. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.